My guest today has perhaps the most difficult job in the country, but with his flair, he's made it seem as simple as pie. 4 years ago, he wasn't even in the team, and no one thought he'd make it. And yet today, he has the team winning, and he's scoring centuries himself. So what's the secret of his success? Judge for yourself as I introduce you to India's cricket captain, Saurav Ganguly. Saurav, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's start at the beginning. There's been a lot of comment in the press about your background, but not much knowledge, actually. So how would you describe the family you were born into?
Well, I come from I'll say a well-to-do, very old-fashioned Bengali family. And my father was a person who was involved with sports all throughout his life. He was a part of the Cricket Association of Bengal. My brother himself has played a lot of cricket for Bengal and for the zone. Unfortunately, did not play for India.
Was it a strict upbringing?
Not really. It wasn't strict. It wasn't too soft as well. You know, it was like a normal Bengali family. My mother made sure that I go to school and make up with my studies. But my father, being a sports person, he also wanted me to play sport.
The press is always talking about how rich Saurav is. Are you rich?
Well, no, not really.
22 cars, as they say?
Yeah, but not really.
Not really?
We have 22 cars, but we are a joint family. My father's of 5 brothers, we all live together, so it's all a part of the family.
So there are in fact 22 members to 22 cars, it's not really 22 to Saurav alone?
No, it's not 22 to Saurav alone.
Okay.
It's a part of the family.
Okay, today of course you're cricket captain, but I gather that when you were young, the game that you actually preferred was football, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still my first love. I think I prefer football. I prefer watching a game of football rather than watch a game of cricket.
Really?
I've never played cricket in my school. I've played football right throughout. When I passed out my class 10 standard, and I did not have enough opportunity to play football because my mother wouldn't allow me, because I used to come back home every day injured and miss classes the next day. And my mother would not allow me because I used to miss school, and so he said, you might as well give it up and concentrate on your studies. So after class 10, when I had no other option to continue the sport, then only I joined cricket.
So in a sense, cricket was to appease your parents?
To please my parents as well. My parents wanted to keep me occupied because I just finished my exams and I had nothing to do. And I was not the quietest of chaps.
So it was to keep out of mischief, actually?
Yeah, keep out of mischief.
So at that stage, no one ever thought you were going to make it to the cricket team, leave aside make it to cricket captain?
I myself never thought I would play cricket after the holidays, once school started. But then luckily, maybe I was destined to play cricket and things started falling in the right place.
You have an elder brother, Snehashish, who's also a cricketer, a Bengal cricketer. How much of your choice and how much of your training was influenced by him?
Obviously, I watched him play cricket all my life. You know, when I was young in school, he used to play cricket, but I was never a cricket player. I never even took part in my school cricket team. They wanted me to do that, but I just said I'm happy with my football. So once I passed out of class 10, I had nothing to do, and he was still playing for the Bengal under-19s. So my mother never used to want me to go with him to practice because he thought I would disturb him. But I made sure I did, and I never used to have any cricket equipments. So whatever little bit of practice I used to do, I used to go with him, pick his bat or pads, and just be around the nets, because at that time they never used to allow me to enter the nets. Maybe I would do a little bit of fielding with the boys because I am being his brother. And at that time, Coach Mr. M.P. Parmar also liked me quite a bit. So I used to get a little bit of practice of fielding, but I never got to bat or bowl.
Your first big match, in a sense, was when you played for Bengal in the under-15s and scored a century against Orissa. Yeah. Did you at that point say to yourself, maybe I've got a future in cricket?
No, not at all. It was not an official game as well. You know, my exams got over, so my father said, you might as well go and join a coaching center, because there are quite a few in Calcutta. So I remember it was Dukhiram coaching center, so I had nothing to do, and they said, okay, you might as well can come and practice, because that was under the club which my father was running in Calcutta. So I used to go there, and then the coach said at that time, do you want to play a game? The Odisha cricket team is coming to play 3 friendly matches in Calcutta, and do you want to play? I said, no, I don't think I'm good enough, neither do I have any equipments to play, so I don't think I'll play. But still he forced me. He said they've already picked the team for the first 2 games, and they have not yet announced the team for the 3rd game. I'll put you into it. Why don't you go and just play a game? Why don't you try out? I said, okay. I didn't have a pad, glove, shoes, nothing. So I asked my brother to lend everything of his, those big pads and shoes and everything, and I went and played. And luckily I scored 100.
This is amazing. It seems that the beginning of your cricketing was a series of accidents and also a desire to keep out of mischief because your parents didn't want you to sit at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
At that point, this was not planned, this wasn't intended that you were beginning a big cricketing career?
No, not at all. After that game, I never played cricket for the next 5 months, because that was in the month of April, and we used to have semesters from April to April. So my school started and never went back to the coaching center again. And after 5 months, again during the puja holidays, I went back and started because I thought I might as well go because I was starting to enjoy it. And then they selected me for the Bengal under 15, the official state side, and then I kept playing.
So by then the bug had begun to bite.
Yeah, but then I still never thought I would play for India.
What about when you got into the Ranji Trophy finals for Bengal? By that stage, were you convinced you had a future, or even then was it all tentative?
Even then it was still tentative. Studies first and then cricket, because see, unless and until you play for India, you never know where you are. So might as well continue your studies because you got to make a life of yourself.
So it really was that moment in Australia in 91, 92 when you went out to bat for the first time as part of the Indian side that you actually said to yourself, I'm committed. And then it all went wrong.
No, it was before that actually. Once I started playing Ranji Trophy more regularly and I started scoring runs, so I started taking more interest in the game. And I started skipping school and college to get into the nets to come for the match because we used to travel quite a bit outside Calcutta. So I used to miss a lot of classes. Then I started taking seriously, but then at that point I still never thought I'll play for India in the next season. And luckily I toured Australia in the year 91, 92.
Hey, tell me about Australia, because everyone talks about Australia. It was your debut, but it went disastrously wrong. Were you nervous, or were you, in retrospect, perhaps too young, perhaps too new?
Well, I don't know that, but I had just played only one game. So I don't think it's fair enough to judge any cricketer after one game.
So they were harsh on you?
I think so, yes.
They keep telling stories that one of the things that was your attitude was wrong. They say you wouldn't take drinks out to the rest of the team. Is that right?
I think that was ridiculous, actually. So such a thing never happened. And being a part of the Indian cricket team, I thought it was an absolute honor to be even a 12th man and carry the drinks off to the cricket field.
So the press made up this whole story?
I think they had information from the then manager we had on the tour of Australia. I don't want to take his name, but I think he made all this nuisance because I think he had a problem with the person in my association where I come from. So he had taken that off the field problem onto the cricket field, which I thought was rather stupid.
So in a sense you were being picked upon?
I thought so, yeah.
Your father has a lovely story to tell. He says that when he rang you up after that innings in Australia to console you, in fact turned around and you said to him, no, Papa, I'll let you finish the sentence.
Yeah, I'm going to play for India again. I told him that because I really felt bad, because I thought that's not the right way to treat a youngster. I was just 17-year-old on my first trip to Australia, and I hardly played anything. I just played 1 or 2 side games, which I did. On those games, I did fairly well, and for that reason, they selected me in one-day international in a tour of 4 months. And then suddenly, after the tour, they dumped me and said he's not good enough.
Tell me, do I get the right feeling that being dumped in a way fired you up and made you absolutely determined to prove them wrong?
Yeah, you've got 2 ways to look at it. Maybe I would have played 4 more years of cricket for India, and maybe if you look at another way, it has put back the fire in my stomach.
And yet those were 4 very difficult years. You were completely out in the cold. I gather every year you would ring up to find out if you were in the team, and you'd get the same disappointing reply.
Yeah, absolutely, but the thing which was on my side was I was young. I was just 18 and I had just played 1 year of cricket for Ranji Trophy. So for me, playing for Bengal at that stage gave me immense pleasure. I wanted to go and play for Bengal, perform. So that kept me going. Maybe if I was 25, 26 or 27 at that time, it would have been difficult for me to come back. I thought I'm just 18-year-old, I got a lot of cricket ahead of me, and I thought I felt that I was good enough to play for India again.
So you were thinking positively?
Yeah, obviously, absolutely, because I was just 18-year-old and I just started my cricket. So I thought...
Did you grow up in those 4 years dramatically?
Yes, I did, because all those stories of the tour was not forgotten in one day. They kept on writing about it. Even if I would have scored 100 in Ranji Trophy, they would write 5 good things, but remind me of those 2 things as well. So it kept going for quite a number of years, and maybe probably since I take it in this way that since they had been wrong to me, probably I came out such fantastically in England.
And then, of course, comes that glorious moment in 1996, your return to the team, your debut at Lord's. It was very much a break or make moment. What went through your mind as you walked out to start batting?
Well, honestly, I'll tell you, people might not believe I was never under any pressure. Maybe probably I was destined to play for India after that. I still say I still don't have that mental makeup which I had on that tour. I knew that would have been the first or last test match for me. If I would have failed, I would never played cricket after that for India.
Do you believe in destiny? You just use the word.
No, I do.
You think there is a
I do, yes.
Saurav Ganguly destiny?
Yeah, for any human being, I believe there is something kept in waiting for you. But you got to keep working hard at it and not just let it happen, but rather make sure you work towards it.
In fact, in your case, if you think about it, a series of accidents bring you into cricket. You're not really committed at the beginning, and yet events keep putting you back into the game. Do you think sometimes there's someone at the back saying, a God maybe?
Yeah, I believe in God, yeah.
You believe in God?
And I tell you, my first test match in England was also an accident. Navjot Singh Sidhu decided to come back home. And I played a one-day game, that was the third one-day international of the tour, and I scored about 48. But I kept on scoring in all the warm-up games. We played various counties, and I scored runs against everybody. And then Sidhu came back to India, and that created a place for me, and I played, and things started falling
So you
into
believe the
place.
hand of God is on your shoulder?
Probably, yes. Yeah.
Many people say that your greatest moment for them came, in fact, the next year in '97 in Toronto when you won 4 consecutive Man of the Match awards.
Yeah.
Do you accept that assessment?
Yeah, I would still rate my first test match 100 as probably the best day in my life, and I think it'll be, because it was such an important game for me. Maybe I wouldn't have been playing for India after that, and today after 4 years I'm leading the country.
Okay, what about that 100 you got in Jamshedpur just last week? The first 100 as the official captain, was that special too?
Yeah, obviously it was very special. See, for leading your country is an absolute honor. I think for any cricketer, you dream of it. And then scoring 100 in just your second game, and that too helping the team winning, obviously it gave me a lot of pleasure.
But at 99 it seemed as if you were choking. There were sort of 18 or 19 deliveries which you weren't able to score on. Was that a moment of nerves suddenly?
No, not really. I thought the wicket was not conducive to stroke play. It was a type of a wicket where you couldn't just mean and take a single. And I played 2 overs of Sean Pollock and 1 of Derek Crooks. We just needed about 9 runs to win at that stage, and we had about 6 overs to go. So I thought it's no point playing a bad shot and throwing your wicket away, because one, the new batsman who comes in, it's a lot of unnecessary pressure on him, because he just gets to play and he gains nothing out of it. It's all a loss for him, because if he gets out, they say he's failed.
So let's take a quick commercial break. I want to come back in part 2 and talk a little bit about how school and college made you.
Okay.
We'll be back in just a couple of seconds. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guest is Saurav Ganguly. Saurav, you studied at St. Xavier's School and then St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, where I gather you passed out on both occasions with first division marks. Was that good luck, hard work, or are you also born clever?
I think it's a mixture of good luck and hard work. I was not a type of a student who used to study all the year round. I'll tell you, even 3 months before an examination, I never used to have books. I'll tell you an incident when I went to give my class 12 examinations. I did not have books till the month of January, and March were the exams. So I went to a professor and said, he was the professor in my school. So I told him, sir, I don't have books, but I need to pass. He refused to teach me. I said, I can't take such a risk. You don't have books. You don't even know what the syllabus is. And 2.5 months later, you're going to sit for an examination. I just told him, sir, you help me out. I might pass. And then he said, no, I can't. So I went back home dejected, because he was supposed to be one of the best professors around. Then he gave me a call after a week and said, okay, you come over, because he knew I was playing cricket and I used to spend a lot of time on the field. I used to hardly be around in Calcutta. So he understood that for me going to college and doing regular studies was not easy. So he took me on, and luckily I passed.
Okay, in 1996, a couple of years after you finished school, you got married to Donna, your wife. Do you remember where and how you met her?
Yeah, she was my neighbor. I used to know her since very young, because I used to see her every day, and I've literally seen her grow up. So it's not that it was an overnight thing or she was somebody in college. I've seen her grow up. We were friends before, and then it slowly turned out to be a personal relationship.
So in fact, long before you married her, you decided you were going to marry her?
Not long before, but about a year before, yeah.
About the time the marriage happened, there was a lot of speculation in the press, as they called it, a secret marriage. Was there something very secretive about it, or did the press again make up a story?
I thought they made a bit too much. These things happen every other day, so just because I used to play cricket and play for India, they made a big issue out of it.
So in other words, the story became Saurav, and Saurav's marriage became bigger than it actually was. Okay, tell me something. She now is married to the cricket captain of India. Does she share your enthusiasm?
No, she's very keen about my cricket, obviously. She wants me to do well, and at the same time, she wants the country to do well. The other day after the coaching game, she said, the first time I've prayed for every other batsman to get runs. She said, previously when you used to walk into bat, I used to pray for you to score runs, and if you used to get out, I used to switch the TV off and do my work. But today was the first time I've prayed for everybody. Let Ajay score 100 or Robin score a 50, because those two were batting at an important situation in Cochin.
And also because now when other people get 100, you as captain take the cue toss.
Yeah, obviously, but I still feel it's a captain should not be blamed for, should not be given the credit for the win. No, he should be blamed for a loss. It's all the team which contribute towards winning and towards the loss.
I gather your parents have a very interesting ritual that they perform every time Saurav is batting. Would you tell me about it?
Yeah, it's not only my parents, it's my wife and my brother as well. You know, if my father makes sure that he watches every cricket match of mine in his office on the same seat with his red light on, and my mother sits in front of the same television. We have about 6 or 7 televisions in the house, but she makes sure that she sits in that small television we have. I don't know how much the size of the screen is, and she'll sit there for the whole day and watch until and unless something bad happens.
And I take it in a strange way, this must be actually quite comforting for you too, to know that they're doing the same thing. It's sort of reassuring.
Yeah, it's comforting, but at the same time, I tell them it's a sport. I don't take it in such a crude manner. After all, it's a game, and you're going to do well someday, you're not going to do well someday. But that's how parents are, you know, they always want you to do well, and I think it must be the same with every other kid on the block.
Does it sometimes add a lot of pressure to you when you're batting, because you know that there's going to be a huge sigh of disappointment if you don't do well?
No, I don't think so, because I know it's after all your parents, they love you, they want you to do well. It just comes out of love, and even if I don't do well, they're the first person to come and tell me, don't worry, there's another game coming.
Okay, let's talk a little about the team that you're today captain of. You said after the Australian tour, and I want to quote it to you so I get it correctly, at certain points during the tour, we got intimidated, and we have to get rid of this mental block. What exactly is the cause of the problem? Is it lack of killer instinct? Is it lack of effort? Or is it lack of self-confidence?
I won't say it's a lack of killer instinct, nor a lack of effort, because when you're playing for your country, I know the boys, they all put their best. But it could be a lack of self-confidence at certain times. You know, this comes automatically into you. You know, if you're not winning, you've lost a few games, these things set in. But that's where your mental toughness comes in. You got to work yourself out of it. You got to back yourself, think about your good performances, what I've done under pressure situations, and try to do it. During the tour of Australia, I felt a few of the guys, you know, were a little carried away, seeing the wickets were hard and quick, and they had fast bowlers. But at the same time, they shouldn't forget that they're also international players. They're representing one of the best sides in the world.
You're saying in a sense that they gave up the fight in their mind before they gave it up on the field.
Cricket is a game at this level. It's 70% played in the mind. You have ability. That's the reason you are here. But I think if you have to be strong enough to do it consistently well at this level. And I thought there were a few guys who were little weak in the mind.
Tell me something, you managed to turn the team around in 2 decisive games, Kochi and then Jamshedpur. How much of that is luck, and how much of that is actually the tide starting to turn?
It's obviously luck is a factor in that, but obviously there's also a lot of hard work in it and a lot of want for the boys to come back, because they all know they're representing the country. They had 3 bad months of cricket. We've lost everything what we've played. Our credibility was on the line, and the new they had to come back because they are all exceptional cricketers.
And how much is it that sometimes a change of captain simply brings the team together in a new way?
Well, I've always said a captain is as good as his team. Maybe one is luckier than the other, or one thinks little more.
Isn't the opposite also true? A team is sometimes as good as its captain?
I would say the first one is true for most number of cases.
What would you say, given the circumstances that Indian cricket is going through at the moment, is the most important quality the Indian captain needs?
I think as a captain of the side, I need to back my boys. You know, they are all young, they all want to do well, they're exceptionally talented. And I think not only me, the selectors and the board, all together have to back a cricketer, pick him, look after him for a certain span of time, because I know what happens when you pick a boy for one game and then just leave him out. It's not fair. I've been through that. I don't want anybody to go through it, because that's not fair in any case.
But in addition to backing them for a long span of time, how do you give them that confidence? How do you get them over that mental block that sometimes comes in the way, that self-belief?
See, self-confidence only will come once you start performing. If you score a test match 100, then you start believing you can score a test match 100. That's half the job done.
So the essential thing is win one game and then you believe you'll win the next, and it carries on.
Absolutely. And I think there you need a little bit of luck.
People sometimes say that the biggest problem for the Indian team happens, unfortunately, when we're playing against Pakistan. That out of, for instance, the 11 one-days that we've played since January 99, we've lost 8. Is there a mental stumbling block there, a psychological
Well, I
block?
can tell you the 11 we played the year before we won 9.
So it's a question of luck. It
It's,
goes
it's a
in
question
swings.
of it's a question of form and how well the team is playing at that particular moment. Since 97 September till 98 April, we beat them 4-1 in Toronto. We beat them in Pakistan. We beat them in Bangladesh out of 4 games, 3 games. So we beat them 9 out of 11 times there.
And yet I'm told that if you look at the overall score of one-days, we've won 25 times before 1999. They won 42.
Yeah, they've beaten us more than before, but I still feel we are equally good, probably even better than what they are. I personally have that feeling.
As you now take the team in hand and begin to prepare yourself to captain it for a long stretch, are you worried by the state of Indian bowling? A lot of times people say, we used to be a great spin side, we don't have good spin bowlers any longer, we don't have a decent pace attack. Does that worry you?
I won't say we have a decent pace attack. We've got 2 genuine fast bowlers who I've seen bowl as quick as anybody in Australia. One is Srinath and one is Ajit Agarkar. Now we have to groom fast bowlers. You know, they don't come every day. At one time in the year 97, we had 4 bowlers who could be safe fast in India, but they never played it. Never played for India for a consistent period
So the
of
whole
time.
thing is grooming them?
Grooming them, looking after them, and picking them up at the right time. If you have a fast bowler who you think is young and is good and who could do well at international level, might as well pick him straight away.
Do we also need to perhaps change the way we make our pitches to encourage fast bowling?
Absolutely, yes. We have to look after our tracks, and we can't do that straight away at the international level. We have to start from the grassroots, from the under 19 level. I think the board should send a strict note to all the associations that we have to prepare green hard wickets.
Okay, you've got the team back into the habit of winning. How much longer before these deeper structural problems are put right?
Well, it'll take some time. It won't happen overnight. I think we have people who want Indian cricket to do well, and we should keep that in mind. Whether it's the captain, the coach, the selectors, or the board, we should have one aim in our mind: to look after Indian cricket and see that we keep on improving.
But you're confident that Saurav Ganguly is the man for this sometimes difficult task?
I hope it's a difficult task. I hope we have. I hope good sense prevails and we start to act together.
Saurav, thank you very much for a delightful interview.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Karan.